Connecting the beginning to the end. And when I did it, I did say my legacy, my purpose. When I wrote it out, my legacy, my purpose. Because in order for us to be able to connect the beginning to the end, we have to have ownership of it.
Right.
Well, man, one of the biggest aha moments that I got about development is when I was having a conversation with my cousin's boyfriend, who's a realtor, and he's one of those entrepreneurial spirit guys who wants to be involved in much more. And so whenever we get together, we just have really great conversation. So we were talking about land and how you can't begin to develop or do anything on a land until you own it, or someone has given you temporary use of that by way of a lease or by way of some type of shared co-op of this property. Because anything that you do, once you start to develop on things that you don't take ownership of, it's not yours. It's not yours. Build a house on property that's not owned by you. You can leave, and you can leave that house right there. You can choose to tear it up. It doesn't matter to me, but that's on my property. So if you leave, that's it's up to you. But you got to go. Thank you. I appreciate it. But when you talk about ownership, that means that I've set aside. These are my 40 acres in Colorado. We'll come back to that later. These are my 40 acres in Colorado, um, and I'm going to develop on it. Matter of fact, I'm going to split it into 10 pieces, and in the 10 pieces for 4 acres each, and build something for everybody that I love and I care about. We're going to create this. Now I can do whatever I want to do within the parameters of those 40 acres because I own it, so I can develop it. And as teachers, we have to get to the point to say, before I can leave a legacy, before I can live my best life, the key word in front of that is my. So your best life can't be coming to school and being rude to everybody at your campus. That can't be your best life. Your best life can't be not involving yourself in the school culture because you have too much other stuff to do. Then why are you working in a school? The whole purpose of a school and to make it work is the collaboration that happens between teacher to teacher. But if you don't own yourself first, you can't offer yourself up for development, which then means that you can't change and shift and modify how you deal with things in the moment. So the first piece of that, my legacy, my purpose, is owning that this is mine. I've made this decision. My wife and I've been talking a lot about ever since the cruise, before the cruise actually, about having teachers to redevelop their why. Why did you get into this field? Why? What was it about being overworked, underpaid, underappreciated that said, I want to go do that? There had to be something intrinsic that jailed inside of you that said, I want to go do this. And then to see it through to fruition. So, what was that? And when you get to that, own it. Own it. Then you can start developing and connecting the beginning to the end. Looking and saying, okay, what do I want kids to say about me when it's all said and done? Some people think that it's kind of morbid, but I think about my funeral. I think about my obituary. I think about the people who will get up and speak on my behalf. Um, I would hope that they would have to clear room for the thousands of students that I've already touched because I've made such a connection that they would want to come out and say their final goodbye to someone who had an impact in their life. Um, between last summer and this summer, we've lost some real pioneers in education. Miss Christian taught for over 50 years in Houston, and amazing woman. And I watched at her funeral that she had state representatives who she had taught. She had doctors who she had taught, lawyers who she had taught. And these people got up and they spoke of what she was able to do for them then, and how coming to this now just made sense. I hadn't seen her since then, but something said I can't let her leave without saying goodbye one more time. When I think of legacy and what I want, I think of that moment. And even though I won't be there within my physical realm to witness it, I know that the work that I put in right now, which gives me my purpose, I know that the work that I put in right now, it's going to show forth that that's what I want and that's what I desire. I'm not in here for part-time work. This wasn't a temporary positioning. This is my calling. This is my true vocation. I want to become a master craftsman of education. And just like I know you do, but we don't understand really how to connect our purpose because we don't have the end game. My end game gives me my purpose. My end game, because that's what's going to drive me. What's that vision of where I want to be? That gives me my purpose. That tells me how much work I got to do.
And it reminds me of what Gary Vee is always saying, that he reverse engineers everything. So he starts with the end, so in this case, if we're really working, like you said, it's impossible coming into this profession to know exactly what's going to happen. It's impossible to know those things. But if you start with that, this is what I want the end state to be, it's so much easier to start. For me, it is to start from the end state and work backwards to where I'm at, than to start where I'm at and try to have the foresight and the vision to predict all of these things going forward to get to that end result. Because there's so many things. I think for me, though, the more I reverse engineer where I want to be, when when unexpected things happen, both good and bad, the more ready you are for them, because you've already played it out in your mind. If you're only working from this point, from your starting point, your purpose, to your end point, you have a very linear, like, these are the steps I'm going to take. And I faced that in my teaching career. Like, I had those moments where, like, oh, this is not what I planned. And if you're not, you can't be ready for all the situations. But if you haven't built that into your plan, into your, and it's more of just an attitude of and an understanding, like, that this is going to happen. Because once you start to understand that, I've seen just as many really unexpected, wonderful things happen as unexpected, not so wonderful things happen.
But what you said something there when you said it was hard for you to articulate what it was, and it actually is. But what it is it's confidence. It's confidence. It's confidence when you know. I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower who said, "I know you're the history buff." I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower who said, "Plans are nothing, but planning is everything." And I think you just kind of spoke to that. Like, I can't predict every single thing that's going to occur at every single level. But what I can do is say, this is where we're trying to go. So now let's work backwards. And so that whatever comes, I know that it's not going to deter me from where I need to go, because that's still in my forefront. So I'm going to make my plan. I'm going to plan for what's going on. But really, the plan is just to be in the experience and to grow and keep my purpose. And when you do that, that gives you confidence. That means I have knowledge, confidence with knowledge. I have the knowledge in myself and in my vision to be able to purposefully and intentionally engage my craft as just that, a
Mm.
craft.
You know what?
I'm
And
not arbitrarily putting some legs on a flat top and calling it a table. You know what I mean? I'm actually
right,
designing from imagination to manifestation.
right. You know, and that was what reminded me of that too. I think when you work from end to beginning, it's a lot easier to be reflective and be honest about where your situation is. Because, like you just said, if you're working beginning to end and you have to hit these certain wickets and these certain things have to happen, it's easier to spin the narrative to make sure that you're hitting those particular wickets, hitting those particular events. When you work backwards, it's easier to just say, "This is where I'm at. This is the reality of the situation."
And then
Um,
what it does is it gives you a gauge to see this is where I know where I was. This is where I'm at. That's where I'm trying to go. So I can see. You know, I was talking with my buddy Greg yesterday about um, we were talking about the fitness journey, and I told him I want to bring him on the podcast to talk about because he was there with me from the beginning of my journey. You know, when 275 pounds, 265 pounds at that time, Will was trying to lose weight for his wedding, and I watched my friend do it. So I said, "Hey, why not go to my friend? I know he knows the formula." We were talking yesterday about the fact that, excuse me, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I have to edit that. What were we talking about? Um,
um, Working from the beginning or the end of the beginning, you're
oh no, you
talking.
were saying about talking about working when you work from the beginning to the end and making sure you do that. But when you work the other way, it actually kind of helps you because what it does is it gives you that reflective lens. It creates that I'm always looking this way. I'm always looking that way to the point to where you look up one time and it's like the way it happened. The conversation went because I was excited that, and I'll share with you. I was able to do two pull-ups, chin fully over the bar, and I was elated. Like you would have swore I just ran a marathon or Ironman. Like I was pumped because I knew the struggle. I knew when I would just go in and just kind of hang on to the bar and just see if I could get myself up, and I was unable to. And he put it in perspective. He goes, right now you just moved yourself into. He goes, right now most adults our age can't do one push up, one pull up. One study that he was looking at, he said most adults between the ages of 35 and 45 are not able to do a chin over the bar pull up. He said 1 out of 10 can do it. And I started thinking, I was like, dang. He goes, that shows your ability of how fit you're becoming. Because that's nothing but you on your own pulling your own body weight up. So can you carry your own load? Not just hold it and sustain it, but can you lift it? And so that perspective started me thinking. He was like, and you started with it had to be. I started before with the little fad things. Oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm gonna try this. Oh, I'm gonna try CrossFit. Oh, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try to train like this. I'm gonna try, and it had me to say. I had to look and see what do I want to look like. Where do I see myself? What do I want to look like when my daughter graduates? When my benchmark was me graduating college. What do I want to walk across the stage? And I closed my eyes and I visualized that point. And I said, okay, that's your goal. That's your date. Just do it. So now working backwards says in order to accomplish that, I had to change how I ate. And I mastered that. And once I changed how I ate, then it says now you have to actually become active and challenge yourself to be active. And I couldn't do the daily get to the gym every day. So I set a weekly target. You have to work out 3 to 4 times a week. Three days a week is a minimum. 3 to 4 days, optimal. But I didn't challenge myself to go to the gym because I can work out here in my home with my kettlebells and my, doing, body weight training here at home. And I'll wake up and do that and not even go to the gym. My gym is kind of my accountability partner, because when going back in there and seeing everybody and them looking at me like saying, whoa, I see you haven't been slacking off even though you haven't been here, because I still go in there and I dog my workout. And I'm showing you, no, this is not just a fluke. but it had to start from that vision of where I wanted to be. So when I had those moments when I didn't lose any weight, or when I gained weight back, or I have my Krispy Kreme binges, and all of that starts to work into saying, you know what? But I see where I want to go. So this doesn't bother me that I had this setback. Okay, I had a bad year teaching. I had a bad year. I got that one class and I lost my cool on it. But you know what? This is a brand new year. I got a brand new year right now, new opportunity with kids who don't know me, with kids who don't know me. And I have teachers who I can reconnect with, even if I didn't, you know, teachers are kind of like, I don't want to, we're kind of like, pit bulls. They say pit bulls, you can take a pit bull and put it in a bad environment and where it's fighting and being aggressive, put it in the right home with the right people, the right socialization. They forgive very quickly. And teachers do the same thing. Most teachers forgive very quickly when people own their mistakes. Because again, authentic teachers want to build, um, authentic teachers want to build that sense of community, because that sense of community is so important, because nothing that we're doing is working for ourselves. Nothing that we're doing. Going to work every day, writing lesson plans, executing lesson plans, reteaching, reevaluating, reteaching, teaching, reteaching, reevaluating, evaluate. That process, it's almost crazy to say that this is what we sign up for. That's not selfish. That's selfless. And when you realize that your legacy is so much bigger than you, that's when you really hit the aha. But it has to begin with, my legacy is that I want other people to benefit from something that I did on this earth. That's not from a selfish state. That's just from a state of saying, I want everybody to be on. Why would I want anybody? Why would I wish ill on anybody or wish someone else's demise for my success? No, there's enough out here. I was listening to Grant Cardone the other day, and he said the reason why I give so much stuff away because I realize there's so much out here for everybody. You getting put on is not going to take anything away from me because I'm not on your level. And by the time you reach my level, I'm at another level, and there's enough there for you too. And when you get to that next level, and I get to that, it's enough there, and we just keep growing together. And it doesn't matter who grew first. It doesn't matter who fell off, who cheated, because at the end we know we're all trying to be better. And that's what we have to do to connect that beginning point to that end point. Is that we have to first see it. What is that end? What is that? What is that one thing that I can look toward that makes me want to do what I do?
Yeah, and for me too, like I think it's easier for me understanding it when I know it's a goal that is not like tan- tangible is not the right word, but it's a goal that is not like just I want to teach for this many years, I want to make this much money, I want to do these things. It's like it's the broader impact. And it's a goal that our goal with Lighthouse is that every kid will have the teacher they deserve from the time they step in kindergarten till the time they graduate high school. Is that a goal that is reachable in our lifetime? I don't know, but it's a goal worth pursuing. And I think the education profession is is a goal worth pursuing to do the best we can to impact kids, for whatever reason why you want to do it. For whatever reason you decided that I'm going to go into this profession that means impacting kids, then you have to hold on to that. And it's when you have that, and when you're more focused on that end state than where you're currently at, when you have that day where you fall off, or when you have a year where you fall off, like that's where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just thinking about this, the fact that, you know, in a week succession, in one calendar week, I met Brittany. My job at my prior school at the end of 2018 ended, and then we were at our first teacher heart out in a week span. So my life changed in 3 ways, 3 major ways in that time. And I went from that, and I remember at that first teacher heart out, around that time, feeling like I don't know if I can. I mean, and that's honestly why I don't think I really pursued a teaching job at the end of last year, or would have been in 2018, because I don't think I was ready. I don't think I had the right mentality to go in and do that. But I stayed focused through this year, having you, having her, having especially the Teacher Heart Out crew and those people we met and everybody on the podcast. I've grown again for the second time in 3 years, not being in a classroom. I've grown more than I have any other year. So it puts me now in this spot where I'm ready to because when we started LED, I was like, I'm gonna teach for these couple years, and then I'm gonna go and do LED solo. And now I'm like, you know what? I could teach and do it all, but we've learned and we've grown and we've now put in systems that we know we can do both. And is there a time where I might step out and just do Lighthouse or the podcast or whatever? There could be. But if it's 5 years from now or if it's 10 years from now, I'm okay with it. And like Gary Vee says too, I'm about to be 35. I still have most likely I have well over half my life left. You probably still have half your life left. And I think that is a part of my journey where I lost track of my legacy because I felt like I had to do it so fast. It had to happen so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize that goal is not time sensitive, it makes it a lot easier to have perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was thinking as you were talking, a concept that um, Marianne Williamson talked about in her book. Um, she talked about that in the stages of development of a fetus, when you going from a zygote to an embryo, the zygote doesn't say to the embryo, doesn't say, I want to become an embryo, right? The embryo doesn't say, I'm now going to be a fetus. I'm going to be a full fetus. And a fetus doesn't say, I'm being born. Doesn't say that. Why? Because there's something on the inside that tells it what to do and at what times to be ready. Its only job is to respond, stretching out of skin, a tail becoming feet. You know what I'm saying? Knobs becoming fingers and hands and arms. Its only purpose is to respond to what's already inside of it. And so when you have yourself, you were called to teach. But then when you get in those situations where it's like, I know I want to be a teacher, but you forget why you became a teacher. People ask me, man, how are you still so excited? You've been teaching now. This is going into your 13th year. You're still acting all giddy and excited about school. It's because I got an end game. I think about Wilma. I can't remember her last name. I'll have to plug her in here and tag her in there. I met her at the Rice School of Mathematics summer program, the math camp for teachers. And we were together for 2 years, and I watched this lady who's been teaching for now over 30 years have this excitement and this zeal about herself and her classroom and what she's going to do in her students. And I'm just like, I saw her last summer at last October at TCCA, and I went up to her and I gave her a big hug and I thanked her again for being a beacon of light for me to remind me at a stage in my career. I think I was around year 7 when I met her, that You don't have to get into that rut of, it's August again. No, square your shoulders. It's August. It's time to make the donuts, baby. It's time to get it here and make it, and make it happen. Like it's like I think about two a days. You knew when two a days started in football practice, you was ready to rock. It's like okay, the first game's coming, and that's what I feel like. Like it's another opportunity to shine, to pull out of students, to let them shine, so that they can see. Because at the end of the day, man, we want kids to be better. We want them to come into our presence and leave us saying, "Man, I feel like I could go conquer the world." You know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's our goal, and that's not an easy task to do. Students are Well, I like the way some people on the ground call them tiny humans. These little humans,
They're
you
people. They're
know,
people.
they're people with personality. They're not this sit down, stay in a corner, and be an ornament while I do what I do. No, that's not going to work. And I think for you, you had to take that time. I told you before, I thought that your growth after you left the classroom to when you went back, left Houston, and before you went, I thought your growth then was amazing. When you left Houston to go to Wisconsin and you had taken the time, I think now where you are mentally, you kept. Well, when you were talking, I was thinking about my grandpa used to always say, "You should spend more time sharpening your axe than you do chopping down a tree." And I think that's what you were doing. And the fact that you can look back and say, this is how reflectively I can say that I was becoming better. I was talking with teachers from all over the country. You know, I was sharpening my axe so that I can make sure that when it's time, then I'll be able to move. And we had the conversation the other day about that. So we know that your pot is being prepared for the seed that's in you.
Mm-hmm.
So but I think that legacy, that purpose, that why am I in here? And if I had to challenge any teacher, if you're listening to this right now, I challenge you before August hits, before you do any school shopping, before you think about classroom decor, and there's a lot of people already thinking that way. Uh, Grab a pencil, pen, and a pad. Sit down somewhere with your beverage of choice. It could be coffee, it could be a glass of wine, it could be a glass of water, it could be a protein shake, it could be a vegan supplement, whatever it is your beverage of choice. Sit down, dedicate about 30 minutes to writing about why you started teaching. Your 30-minute why. And I mean, that's a deep dive for why. Because again, the deeper your roots go, the further out your branches will go and the more support you have. My wife and I, we love going taking pictures of trees because I love to watch when root systems, when the ground can't support it, that the root actually grows up and becomes part of the tree in order to sustain life because the roots are going deeper now. So now it causes them kind of to bow out because they're saying, no, I got to spin from this because you're not giving me what I need. So I got to go deeper. And that's what we have to, as educators, become. We have to become deep divers of ourselves and do that every year so that you can realize when you walk into the classroom, no matter what happens, your why is bigger than every incident that you're going to encounter. Your why is bigger than everything. It's not, you don't have to be frustrated from day to day. Meditate. Meditate. I was just reading a study that said people who meditate see the doctor less because stressing your body, that increased cortisol is what makes your body get all out of whack, makes your hormones get all crazy, and it makes you more susceptible to things that your body can normally fight off. Just because you wouldn't go a week without taking a shower, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, we walk around with months of stench on our body. So find a meditative place to do, whether and I'm talking about still away, quiet time, 3 minutes. You don't have to sit there and people want to be silly and let's make a circle. No, you can just go somewhere, sit down, for 3 minutes, close your eyes and refocus yourself. See yesterday falling off of you. See yourself, waking up brand new for this brand new day. Visualize yourself walking into your day, walking into your building, and just spend some time tracking that out so that nothing happens by mistake. Because what happened is I'm gonna call it a pre-play. In that pre-play of what your day is gonna look like, you'll actually kind of start seeing the people. And when you start seeing those people in your vision, salute them for what they're going to add to your life for that day, whether through being a champion or being a challenge. Thank them already because everything is still working towards your why.